Okay, I think I'll go ahead and get started now if you all are okay with that. Our speakers. Um, Welcome everybody. My name is Jackie Butler. I am the Senior Director of Operations for the MCA Foundation, and I'm also the Director for U.S. Operations for El Paso Juarez, and very happy to wear two hats that work towards improving our biomedical ecosystem here in the El Paso and Juarez region. I'd like to welcome you to the first of our four-part series events on from start to finish medical device manufacturing. The idea for this series of events came from BIOEPJ and the MCA's Innovation Center's teams working together and talking through how, as a group, we could bring together some content that would help the general public and people who are interested in medical device manufacturing, innovators, entrepreneurs, startups, those with ideas or maybe prototypes of devices, help them get a better understanding of where they can turn to when they're ready to take their products to market or ready to start manufacturing products. And what those nuances within the medical device manufacturing industry are that they should be aware of when they're thinking about taking their products to market. And so, as you know, we're very fortunate here in El Paso and Juarez to have a depth of knowledge in medical device manufacturing. And we're really happy today to welcome a panel of really expert speakers that are in the medical device manufacturing arena. I'd like to quickly introduce our panel, and then I'll hand it over to our moderator. So our first panelist is Hector Palacios. He's the COO for RexMed Health. RexMed creates solutions by incorporating added precision and functionality to products through innovative dispensing and packaging solutions. They specialize in customized products and add value proposition based on flexibility, hand assembly, special testing, and small lot capability. Welcome, Hector, and thank you for joining us on this panel. I'd also like to welcome Les Duman. He's in business development with Seisa. Both Seisa and RexMed, I should know, are local contract manufacturers here in El Paso and Juarez. Seisa Medical is a global world-class contract manufacturer of catheter-based delivery systems, tube sets, and many other medical device assemblies and components. Seisa recently acquired BMS, a leading producer of stents and designer of stent delivery systems. And so we're really lucky to have Les, who can speak to both the capabilities within Seisa and BMS and bring some of his knowledge to the table. Our moderator today is Mylena Walker, Director of Product Planning and Cost Optimization for Cardinal Health. Mylena is a local treasure here in El Paso and Juarez and brings so much knowledge and guidance to El Paso Juarez and the MCA when it comes to the world of medical device manufacturing. Mylena, as everybody knows, Cardinal Health is a global integrated healthcare services and products company, one of the leading medical device manufacturers and corporations in the world. And Mylena has, is it 12 years, Mylena, at Cardinal Health? 20 years, okay. 20 years combined. I was going off of your LinkedIn, but yes, yeah. It's a wealth of knowledge, as I said, and we're really lucky to have Mylena here to help lead this conversation with Hector and Les to help us understand contract manufacturing and how innovators and entrepreneurs could approach them and understand how they work. So I'll hand it over to you, Mylena. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Jackie. Thanks everyone for being on today. Welcome to today's episode in product design and prototyping. So today we're featuring getting ready for manufacturing. Just as a reminder, let me set the stage for the Zoom rules today. If you could stay on mute, that would be appreciated just to eliminate some of the background noise. If you have a question, a comment, you'd like the speaker to expand on a topic, feel free to write in the chat board, and we'll be monitoring the chat board so that we can open up the conversation I can call folks out if you have a particular question you'd like to unmute yourself and ask. So I'll go ahead and monitor that. Also, again, thanks for having me here today. As Jackie said, I've been with Cardinal Health for now 20 years in various capacities. So started in El Paso with our manufacturing team and moved throughout the company. So I've been with our R&D team, I've been with marketing, I've been overseas with contract manufacturing, also did supply chain management, et cetera. So I've seen a lot of different aspects of the self-manufactured and contract manufactured side of Cardinal Health. I'm excited to be in this region. We continue to expand our footprint in El Paso and in the Juarez and Chihuahua areas. So we have various manufacturing locations outside of Chihuahua. We have several in Juarez, and then we manufacture and we warehouse out of El Paso as well. So I'm excited to be here today. It's my pleasure to introduce both Hector Palacios from RexMed and Les Duman from Seisa and the business development work he does there. So with that, I'm going to actually open it to Les. And Les, could you give us just a bit more background on yourself?
Okay, I've been back with Seisa actually since their acquisition of BIOEPJ Systems. I also was with them originally 9, 10, and 11 years ago, working with them in the North America market. One of the things that draws me to the company is they're very entrepreneurial themselves. They're a family-owned company. The 6 family members involved in the company, including Julio, who founded the company long, long ago in Juarez. They have about 1,700 employees in Juarez. They also have a facility in the Slovak Republic in Eastern Europe. And BIOEPJ Systems is located in New Jersey. And as Jackie was saying, BIOEPJ Systems, their core competency from a production perspective is stents and all kinds of stent-like devices and implants, many made from nitinol. They have the production capability along with the design and development capability for stents and those types of products. They also built a very, very deep and broad understanding of the delivery systems for those products. However, they don't have a production capability. And this is just telling you how the companies work together. Seisa Medical, on the other hand, historically has been a technology transfer company. They only ran production. You had to have all the specs, all the drawings, all the sign-offs, all the regulatory issues, everything, all the ducks in a row, as they say, before they would take on a project. So there were times when Seisa would lose an opportunity because they didn't have the ability to help with engineering. There'd be a time where BIOEPJ Systems would lose an opportunity because they didn't have the ability to run production. So the two companies have been a brilliant synergy, a lot of engineering on both sides, a very healthy company, and they bring on additional capabilities quite often. As Jackie said, our core competency is catheter-based delivery systems, but we do tube sets, we do in-house, we have injection molding, blow molding, braiding, extrusion, thermoforming, vacuum forming, sewing for stents, very large clean room capability, and we have the ability to take care of a customer's product all the way up to final pack out and sterilization. Sterilization is done outside the facility, everything else is done inside. And they're fun people, so I'm staying with them for a while.
Perfect, thanks Les. Hector, could you give a brief bio on yourself?
Yeah, of course. First, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here. And well, let me talk a little bit of very brief who is RexMed. RexMed is a company, it's a contract manufacturer in the region. We are specialized in fluid delivery sets. The most of the sets and the medical device that we make is for delivery some type of drug or some type of fluid into the human body. And we, as RexMed, we have two business areas. The first one is the contract manufacturer. We produce different devices for different companies in the United States and in other parts of the world. And also we have our own products. We have a company, is PJ Technologies, is specialized in infusion pumps. We have the technology to produce mechanical infusion pumps that we produce and sell in the United States and Australia, South Africa, and now in Mexico. We started Mexico this coming year. It's a mechanical infusion pump. The name of the pump is B-Line. It's our trademark. We have the technology, we have the patents for this pump. And also we have the technology that we bought this technology 3 years ago for electronic infusion pumps. So the electronic infusion pumps are the pumps that you see in every room or in every hospital to deliver the different type of drugs. We bought this technology, and now we are working to improve the technology to make a more intelligent pump, and we will relaunch this pump in the market at the middle of the next year. It's more or less the two business areas. We are 700 people in Juarez. We have a distribution facility in El Paso. We have our office also in El Paso, and we have different capabilities in our plant to produce this type of devices. We give services for managing services for sterilization, and also we make all the logistics to import and export the finished good and import all the raw materials for our customer. More or less, that is the operation that we handle here in El Paso.
Awesome. Thank you, Hector. With that, we'll go ahead and move into some of the questions that we have set up for today. Hector, I'll start with you. In your opinion, could you give us what it means to be a contract manufacturer? And then can you help us, can you help the audience with some distinctions that both innovators and entrepreneurs should be aware of? So what should they be looking for in a contract manufacturer?
Well, it's I think that the contract manufacturer, in general terms, is a company that manufactures medical devices. Well, for this industry, manufacture medical devices under the customer specification. That means that the customer give all the specifications for the contract manufacturer. There are different types of contract manufacturers. We need to distinguish what type of medical contract manufacturer we are looking for, because there are contract manufacturers that manufacture only the products that the contract manufacturer or the company develop or produce. That means it's a bunch of maquiladoras or a bunch of contract manufacturers that exist in Juarez, produce or make the manufacture or their own products. There are other contract manufacturers that receive business from other companies and produce under the specification for different companies and produce these medical devices for different companies. That this contract manufacturer is a contract manufacturer that produces for different brands, for different companies. There are larger or large contract manufacturers. There are also the small ones. They are specialized in some type of devices, and for example, like Seisa specialized in stents or in catheters, or as RexMed is specialized in fluid delivery sets. There are other that is a contract manufacturer that manufacture electronic devices. That this is another type of fabrication. And also, there are contract manufacturers that only receive business from companies or from customers that in some type of or some size of business. Say, if you come to the contract manufacturer and bring only 15,000, 20,000, 200,000 pieces, maybe it's not, this contract manufacturer won't be interested. But there are other contract manufacturers that is interested in low volumes. That means that there are contract manufacturers specialized in large volumes and small volumes. Also, there are contract manufacturers that are interested to manufacture under some specification or help the customer to develop the specifications or help or be partner of the customers. This is another type of contract manufacturer. Contract manufacturer, I think, if you are thinking to go to or select a contract manufacturer, you need to think in all these type of manufacturers that exist in the market.
So Les, with that, could you help folks kind of maneuver through the, if you're an innovator, an entrepreneur, what you should be aware of, what should be the kind of signs of a good contract manufacturer versus someone to potentially be maybe leery of?
Okay. So I'll start off with something Hector said, in that some contract manufacturers only want high quantity jobs that are ready for production now. Others, at the other end of the spectrum, there's contract manufacturers who have the willingness and the capability to help you as an entrepreneur, help you finish your design, help you do the development. If you haven't produced a medical product in the past, there's so many important things to do as far as maintaining your design record as you develop. So I like to tell people it's a little bit like going out on a date. So superficially, you kind of know what you're looking for, but you have that first meeting and you learn a little more and you learn a little more. So one thing that's important is, and this case, I won't call it personalities, but it is, but the corporate culture. Does the corporate culture of the company you're dealing with seem to match what you believe your corporate culture is or what it will be? In other words, do you get along well as people? If, and don't get me wrong, for some of you entrepreneurs out there, especially on the engineering end of things, or surgeons out there, or doctors, is quite often, or very often, almost always, entrepreneurs are brilliant people. They're brilliant about what they know about. But I guarantee you, they're not brilliant about what you need to know as a contract manufacturer. That's one. The quantity issue is very important, because not only, it has nothing to do with whether we're greedy manufacturers or not. We cannot adequately come up with the best processes, procedures, and development path unless we know what you hope to be your ultimate production quantities. If you're producing something where the market demand for your segment of the market is 10 million units, that's product A. Now you have product B, where the estimated annual usage is only 10,000. So on that 10,000 quantity annual product, you're going to be very conservative about how much capital expenditure is. How much money, as an entrepreneur, as an inventor, how much money do I need to finish the design work? How much money do I need to build the tooling? Is it going to need specialized equipment? So you're going to try to get the lowest cost possible without having to invest too much money in capital expenditure. If you're doing 10 million a year, you're in a position where you can spend a fortune on automation, mechanization, very high-end tooling, because you'll be able to amortize those fixed costs over a high quantity of product. And you have to be very honest with your contract manufacturer as far as where you are in your design. Just because you already have a patent doesn't mean you're ready for production. So you, as an entrepreneur, as an inventor, or as somebody in an NPI group in a large company, you need to be able to sit down with your potential contract manufacturer, say, hey, this is where we are. These are the design questions that still aren't clear. Let your supplier know, if they don't ask you, what are you willing to change? Are you willing to discuss alternative materials? Are you willing to discuss maybe some slight design changes? Because at the end of the day, most contract manufacturers, they want their production to be as easy as possible. And you know what that means to all of you folks out there. If it's easy to produce, it's going to be less costly to produce. And so in that case, there is an ulterior motive for your supplier to help you reduce your costs. And I'm just saying, make sure, treat your contract manufacturers as the experts that they are. Treat yourself as the expert that you are. I have an excellent lawyer and I have an excellent doctor. They're both brilliant. I don't need medical advice from my lawyer and I don't need legal advice from my doctor, even though they might be willing to give it to me. And I absolutely don't need that kind of advice from my friends and family unless they also are experts. I'll talk about it, but they're not experts in that.
So with that, Les, like you make a good point around just expectations, right? So as a innovator, an entrepreneur, a company that potentially has an idea, you have those expectations of that first meeting. What should they come to that first meeting with, right? That first date, potentially.
Okay, in that case, see, that's where it's not a first date. So on that first date, you want to give you want to give that person, that company, all the information that you have. You don't want to hide. If you've If you've already shown the project to 3 other contract manufacturers and all of them have told you, wow, that's really unrealistic, I don't think that can be manufactured. When you meet your 4th manufacturer, you should tell them that. Say, hey, I've shown this to a couple folks and nobody seemed real interested. They all think this is a really difficult product. What do you think? And that becomes a very helpful starting point. Again, if it was a first date, yeah, well, I just tried matching up with 5 people and none of them seemed to like me. Well, maybe there's nothing wrong with those 5 people. Maybe it's about you. So again, if you have a project and people are saying, no, I don't think so, I don't think so, I don't think so, chances are you have issues in your design. And you need to go back to your contract manufacturer's expertise and try to assess whether they're being honest with you. Some contract manufacturers say, oh yeah, we can do anything for you. We're experts in all of that. Where it really should be, what are the core competencies? And if something comes up, Mr. Contract Manufacturer, are you going to just keep beating yourselves up trying to figure it out? Or will you go to an outside expert to help you?
And Hector, can you maybe expand on either some examples or, ideas that have been brought to you in the past around, folks thought this was the next thing that was going to revolutionize the industry, but, maybe they weren't necessarily prepared or weren't ready to hear that, it was so complicated to manufacture, you'd never get it out the door.
Yeah, well, I think that when you have a product, you need to be realistic what you have in your hands, because a product is not only the device, it's not only the idea first. If you have the idea, you need to have some type of device or prototype, because ideas is worse. You need to have the prototype. But also you need to be sure that you have service some need, and if this need have a market, and also if you have some customers, you have the idea what is the customers want. Because when you have a product, maybe we as engineers we think only in the product. We need to think in the product to create a prototype, but see if this product has a market and covers some needs in the market. Because when you came to visit the contract manufacturer is a company that is designed to make business. If you don't have the volume, if you don't have exactly what will be the margins, the contract manufacturer maybe say, okay, I can produce you, but I can help you in the next steps because I can see if I can help you, or you can get enough revenue to pay me the service. I think that the people, the entrepreneurs, first need to sit and see if you have all the things that they surround the prototype or product. After that, say, okay, I have everything. I need to go to a contract manufacturer to help me not only with the production, help me with all the specifications, help me with the next development, or help me with be my partner to produce this product. I think that we need to clarify this in our minds. I have I remember some experience that some people come to our company with the prototype, but say, well, do you have an idea what is the market? No, well, I have, I see in the TV, or I have some experience because I was part of a team in a clinic, and I see the need. But we need to clarify more precise what will be the market. If we are thinking in the contract manufacturer to help us as a partner or as a support to develop the product. If you already have the product, you need to think that you need to cover. I always call the 4 basic aspects. Is first you need to know if you have all the specifications because the contract manufacturer require you the specification for production, the specification, the product specifications, the manufacturer specifications, and also the materials specifications. Is because the contract manufacturer manufacture according to specifications. If you don't have that, you need to get the help from somebody or from the contract manufacturer if the contract manufacturer is open to help you or be part of the project.
That's a chicken or egg, if I might jump in again. And Hector spoke of that. That contract manufacturer doing production, you have to be ready to bring them everything you need so they can start production. If not, you really need to understand, if you're a brilliant surgeon and you've got a brilliant friend who's an engineer, if your product isn't ready for production, you need to understand that someone is going to consume resources to help get you to the point where you're ready for production. And those resources cost money. So there's been times almost all manufacturers are willing to have an introductory conversation with the engineering group. Hey, let's talk a little bit about your product. Okay, here's where you are. We understand that. And you need to get here. But if you think you're going to have a second and a third and a fourth conversation where you're hashing out the engineering details without paying for it, that's unlikely. Because if the contract manufacturer isn't going to help you, you're going to have to either hire more engineers yourself, or you're going to hire a contract product development firm who only develops product and doesn't do production. To me, the best option is having the same person who's doing your production being involved with the development.
So Les, I think that leads us into a question that came in over the board. It's like, how do you know that there's a market for your product or invention? So, you know, you being in business development and folks that are entrepreneurs, and to your point, you know, have seen a potential need because they're, you know, working in the industry, or have heard enough complaints from customers because of the product that they're currently using. You know, what's the first step there? Is it better to go to a, you know, smaller contract manufacturer that, you know, has, you know, capabilities to do some product development, or where do you start with just kind of getting your arms around the actual market need?
Yeah. So product market and development, I mean, I would say you don't go to your contract manufacturer for that at all. Unless, for instance, if someone came to us and they wanted a new stent delivery system, we have some idea what the total market is. But as an individual inventor, or if you're in the marketing group for Boston Scientific and you're about ready to launch a new product, before you get any patents, before you put any engineers to work, whatever your concept is, you need to find out, is that concept already in the market? What are the predicate devices that are close to it? A lot of inventions are just an improvement. And you need to figure out how big is the market and what percentage of that market do you need to win in order to break even? And for that, you're going to have some idea of what your product is going to cost. And that's where if you go to Hector, or you go to me, or you go to anybody within a large, not anybody, but you go to any contract manufacturer, usually they can look at something. And if it's, you know, this ballpoint pen, and you want 10 million of them, I'll go, based on what I know about ballpoint pens, at 10 million, they'll probably cost about 39 cents each to make, or somewhere between 30 and 40 cents. Okay, great. And then you have to figure out what market you're going into and what margins that market allows. So all of that should be done before you're ever talking to a manufacturer. It should all be done before you even have a patent. Why spend the money and resources to create a product that is a really cool product, but it's more expensive than anything in the market, and it's not that much better? So really, it's incumbent upon the entrepreneurs to know what the market is before they start spending money with contract manufacturers. And of course, if we're in that business, we have some anecdotal sense of what the market is. But if you were to ask me, Les, do you think there's room for another stent delivery system? Probably. If I had the wherewithal to develop any type of medical device, is that what I would go for? No, because it's a market that's busy. If you're in software development, do you want to come up with a new type of virtual meeting room? I mean, there's 10 of them right now. If I was going to develop a new type of test, do I want to develop a new COVID test? No, because there's 30 some companies developing COVID tests. You know, find a market where there's not a lot of competition, or where your concept for that product really makes it unique and novel.
So with that, Hector, maybe you can expand on, at a minimum, you know, what customers or what entrepreneurs and inventors and companies should be coming to a meeting with, you know, so is it, you know, their business plans, their prototypes, their molds, like what sets people up for success, so that, again, you'll have the first meeting and, you know, maybe they'll walk away with some advice, but for them to have a second and third and create a relationship that's worth everyone's time, what should they be coming to the table with?
I think that at the beginning, need to bring to the table three very clear ideas. First is a complete description of your a business idea. Say, okay, that is my business a project. No, my device. That is my business project, and the business project include the idea. The prototype is very important to go to this, sit in the table and at least to have a prototype or a sketch or said that is all the details of my product. Have a more or less a clear idea what is the market, what will be the customer. These four things you need to bring to the table. Say that is my project. My project is, this is my idea, this is the prototype, this is the market, the need that I will cover the market, and this is maybe the potential customers. To bring to the table to as an entrepreneur, but that you propose or you want to develop a business, you need to bring with this at least very clear these four ideas. After that, of course you need to go to the for all the support for this product or this idea. That is, if you have the capability to make the manufacturer specifications, or you have the capability, you already have the specifications of the product, you already develop what type of materials that we use. But that is the second. First, when you need to have very clear what is your product, your idea, and what is the market that you will service.
Perfect. So let's big topic of conversation, and why we are all on a Zoom call. Maybe Les, you can help us kind of understand what the impact of COVID has been on prototyping and validation processes, and what the new norm may be going forward.
So I'll address that two ways. So with BIOEPJ systems, or if it is a design and development project, COVID makes it much more difficult for people to gather in the same room. As Hector kept talking about prototypes. Okay, the potential customer has a prototype. So, but I've seen people, you know, say, here's a prototype. It's called a computer mouse, and here's what it looks like. And I can show it to you, and I can open it up. But that doesn't even come close to comparing what it is to put it in somebody's hands and have them look at it, feel it, operate it, see how it works. A lot of people are using video for that type of thing. Doing sending videos of the prototype functioning, or showing videos of each step as the development happens. So that travel aspect is one issue. Another thing I find with COVID, where so many people are working from home, and this happens just in my conversations with BMS, there may be a project where there's two members of the engineering team working on them. One of them's at home that day and the other one's in the office that day. So it makes it more difficult sometimes to have those collaborative meetings, but everybody's getting better at it. I don't see, as far as moving forward with a project, unless the project itself is impacted by COVID. We had one customer, and it's a dental project. It's something that every dentist uses every time they clean your teeth. It's used once and they throw it away. Well, COVID happens, and guess what? They go from using 247,000 units per month to 0, because they have 3 months of inventory because no one went to the dentist. And even now, people are hesitating going to the dentist. So if it's that type of product, COVID does impact it greatly. Anything that's for elective surgeries is still impacted by that. But if you're an entrepreneur, if your product is something that is used outside of a direct COVID affected arena, I don't see it having a huge impact other than not being able to have those face-to-face meetings that you would otherwise want to have. We haven't seen any problems with shipping. We haven't seen any problems with our supply base, other than the person you want to talk to might be working from home that day.
Right. Hector, any issues that it's caused in your facilities?
Well, of course, for the contract manufacturer, COVID impact in different ways. First is that our customers reduce the demand because the markets, the elective surgeries reduce the demand, and that our customer reduce the demand for us. The impact, for example, for us is more or less in 30-35% of the volume that we have forecast this year disappear with COVID. But let me tell you that I see COVID as some it's a bubble. The next year, COVID will be more controlled. The elective surgeries will come again in the same rhythm of volume. I think that if the companies suffer this year, next year we will be much better shape. I think that for the entrepreneurs, let me see the other side of the coin. I see yes, it's different. I agree that it's difficult to present a prototype or new product by a Zoom conference call, but also change the way to make business, because now the people is more open to give you an appointment or a meeting in Zoom instead of to make an appointment in your office. Get an appointment in your office consume more time than the time that consumed to have a meeting in Zoom. I think, and also I think the people now is more open to give you 30 minutes or 40 minutes in your office, because it will be exactly 40 minutes or 30 minutes. That is an advantage that for the entrepreneurs for the next year and for the next months, because I think will be easy to get some interviews or appointments. Also, the companies accustomed to receive information more in the digital way. And the platforms also are evolved to give more services. And now you can see a virtual show. So you can see the companies or myself or another executives are more accustomed to see for the 3D presentations, for example, or receive some information in digital way. That is an advantage for the people that start a business or are thinking to launch a new product or a new device. That is, for me, is the other side of the coin. The way to make business in the next year or in the next months will be so different that we make business 12 months ago.
Right. I had a good question come in through the chat, and Hector, I'm gonna direct this one at you first. Do you feel that the El Paso Juarez region, based on the accelerated growth that we've had, and the infrastructure that we're starting to put in place, the repatriation that we're seeing from Asia back into the U.S., do you think that we'll be able to distinguish ourselves from other medical research parks? And is it a distinguished product? So is it a certain product family that El Paso Juarez will be known for, or is it our agility in being able to produce a bunch of different types of products that we need to kind of take a hold of and continue to push on?
Well, my point of view is that we have an opportunity in the next 12 months, because of course, the United States is trying to bring production to more to let me say it in this way, to this area, or to this return to the United States production from China to United States. And also there are companies that in China, or companies in overseas that are thinking to produce close to the United States. that is, I see an opportunity for the region, for El Paso Juarez, that the capital to receive or to see these companies how to receive these new projects that will come from other countries. And also El Paso Juarez has a unique position. This is in the center of the United States. We are overnight to East Coast, to overnight to West Coast. We are overnight to almost the center of the United States. We are a very good weather to produce medical devices. We have a premature capabilities because we produce medical devices the last 20 years. We are some capabilities in the area that it can supply the companies that are thinking to produce devices here. I think that we have a very good opportunity for the next 12 months or couple of years that for produce medical devices. Only we need to see if what are our capabilities of what type of medical devices we can produce in the region. But it all depends for each company, what is the capabilities that or the expertise that the companies have.
Les, any kind of insight into some of the repatriation activities that you're seeing in the medical device industry, and just kind of state of the business as you see it for, you know, entrepreneurs that want to develop products, you know, here?
Yeah, so actually there's quite a few projects recently where it's a US supplier who was having product produced in China, and now they want to produce in North America for two reasons. There's too many uncertainties with China, and at this point, China's inflation has been much more pronounced than Mexico's inflation. So when you look at the entire cost burden of dealing with China versus dealing with Mexico, especially close to the border Mexico, like Juarez area, the advantage is you can get better service, you can get faster service, and it's at the same cost and potentially lower cost if it's something that's affected by tariffs. The other is whenever anybody asks about, and I used to work with a company that had manufacturing in China, and everyone would come running, oh, I want to have you do it because it's going to be so much cheaper in China. And I don't use the word cheap unless I mean cheap. I don't want to buy anything that's cheap. I want to buy it low cost. I want a high value. Cheap to me is not good quality. So if you want it bad enough, that's the way you're going to get it. But I always tell people, if you're dealing with China or Mexico, and depending on where you are in Mexico, you need to expect that you're going to have to make at least one unplanned visit to your supplier. What is the cost of one unplanned visit? If it's to China and back, that's a $10,000 trip if it's on short notice. If it's to Juarez and back to anywhere in the United States, it's maybe $1,000, and it only can involve just an overnight trip. And we talked earlier about, well, everyone in the audience, if you're on an entrepreneurial product and you're manufacturing for the first time, the logistics of just being able to connect and seeing your first articles the same day or the next day, rather than having to wait for it to come through FedEx from China and then maybe get it stuck in customs. And yeah, to me, that's the advantage. If there's one thing that I think would help the El Paso Juarez area, and that is going up and down the supply chain. As far as the number of suppliers of specialty components, suppliers of the different raw materials. Seisa still has to get quite a few of the raw materials from the US or elsewhere because they're not currently available in the Juarez area. So that's something that overall for the El Paso Juarez Bio Group, you know, talking to folks, not me because I'm not supply chain, but talking to some of the largest players and say, hey, within your own supply chain, what do you find most difficult to procure in the El Paso Juarez area? And then you folks putting on this event today, you can create opportunities maybe that might help get material suppliers to at least set up a warehouse and distribution center in the area, or something else that would help all the contract manufacturers.
One of the things that is very important to underline is that in this area, you can get the best of the two worlds. This is one of the advantages that we have here, because you have the capabilities that Juarez have, but also the capabilities that El Paso has. And if you don't get the supplier, as you mentioned, in Juarez, you can get the supplier in United States. Any supplier in United States can ship you the material. I am talking about for the prototypes or for the new products, the developers, overnight in the stock. It's pretty easy. And these companies, when you talk about, okay, please ship me this material to Mexico or to the center of Mexico, well, this is difficult, the customer and everything. But here you can ship it to El Paso, and you can send the little piece for the prototype to Juarez, very easy. You can, that is one of the things that we need to take advantage, that we can get the best of the two worlds.
Yeah, that's a good point, because we do what you do, Hector. We have a warehouse and offices in El Paso. So when you deal with us and with your company as well, if you're a U.S. company, you're dealing with, in essence, a U.S. company. You don't have to worry about any international activities, because we, as contract suppliers, with both El Paso and Juarez presence, we can make it seamless to a U.S. customer. Everything you do when you're dealing with us is the same as if you're dealing with a company in the U.S. as far as terms, conditions, shipping, and yeah, we take care of all the import-export issues.
Yes, and also for the entrepreneurs, it's so difficult to get a company with the produce for you as an entrepreneur at low volumes. In China, it's a nightmare. In China, if you already have the the specification and everything, it's okay. And a big volume. But if you start with a low volume, a small volume, and you don't have so much clear the manufacturer specification, the back and forth, if you are here, is so easy, because you can talk with the people in the same area. Or if you need to travel to the United States, as you mentioned, it's overnight. You can make a trip the same day or just overnight.
Great. So with that, maybe you can touch on some of the trends in prototyping today, and maybe some predictions for the future. I know, 3D printing is very hot, and it's what people talk about, but are there any other prototyping activities and trends that our entrepreneurs should be aware of and or incorporate into their thoughts as they're innovating? Les, I'll let you kind of start with that one.
Okay. Yay. This is so this is one of my mantras when I talk to engineers. So often when people are developing a new product, they want their prototype as quickly as possible. I want my prototype in 2 weeks. Can you do that for me? Yes, I can. Okay, great. And so they'll go to a 3D printing company. 3D printers can print any geometry you want. They can create many, many types of geometry that there is no effective method of producing it in production. So, so yeah, there's things, the ability to laser scan a carved wooden sample and then use that laser scan to machine a metal prototype, the ability to 3D print, but all inventors, all entrepreneurs, every new project, whatever processes may be used during the prototype and development phases, you want to make absolutely certain that those designs and those processes can be translated to an effective production process. So you don't want to have to 3D print 1 million units because they'll be too expensive to sell. And the properties are going to be different than they are in production. So if it's a plastic piece, you want to make sure it can be injection molded later. If it's a metal piece, you want to make sure it can be cast or forged or stamped later, or done in a high-speed automated multi-axis machining center. Because the most expensive aspect of producing any product, other than some crazy expensive raw materials, the most expensive aspect is the labor content. And you want to reduce your labor, so therefore you want to make sure as many parts as possible can be produced automatically off of existing equipment. But there's new things coming up all the time. There's many different types of 3D printing of metal products and plastic products. Like I said, there's methods of scanning a product and then using that scan to develop a toolpath to machine a prototype. And people use 3D printing to create prototype tools for molding. They're not suitable for production, but they are suitable for prototype and development quantities. But ultimately, you have to be able to, in a medical device, you have to be able to make a small quantity of parts off of the same processes as production, because for a lot of products, especially class 2 and 3, it has to be the same processes before FDA will approve it. That's something. There's a whole bunch of other stuff too.
Sorry, I was on mute there. I'm going to touch on a question here, and Leonel Romero, if you want to come off of mute, you want to kind of follow up on the question around, expertise in this region. And so I think, Jose Geraldo, you have a message in the chat that, developing a robust local supply chain is really key to the community, and again, being able to really effectively launch products. But I don't know if, Leonel, if you want to ask the question, or if Hector or Les, if you can see the question. He's asking again, going back to being able to identify opportunities in the market that allows the startup ecosystem to flex their muscles. So should we try to kind of put our eggs in one basket? And Leonel, I see you coming on here. Do you want to comment on this?
First of all, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Yeah. No. I mean, that's there's a lot of things that I'm looking into, and it's just the power of this collective and MCA and Paso Juarez it's undisputed. But Les, you were talking about how we need to identify those opportunities in the market, and so how do you guys support and empower the ecosystem, the startup ecosystem in the region, to then go after those opportunities, and then maybe flex their muscle in a different way to start designing products where we can truly kind of like, penetrate that market and make El Paso be known for something else that distinguishes us from other cities in Texas, right? So I'm talking about like maybe the TMCX and all the startups that they're able to brew in that park. Plans for different research medical parks in Dallas, and some of these startups in Austin. What is El Paso and Juarez doing to truly distinguish ourselves?
So I can't speak to exactly what El Paso is doing because I'm in the Bay Area of California. But Leonel, I think what you're pointing towards is what's sometimes called like an incubation center, or where I think what you're getting at is how do we make El Paso, Juarez area a area that's known for creating new products. New products are born here. So not being involved with the politics in the area, a lot of times that's your municipal organizations, it's your economic business development chambers of commerces. Yeah, that's one where it really needs to be something where there's advantages for design firms to move in, where there's advantages for companies that are being incubated, whether it's a tax advantage or whether it's low interest loans for entrepreneurs once they're vetted. There's many programs. I mean, I'm basically in Silicon Valley, and there's a number of incubation centers where within one building, sometimes within one business park, there are people who are experts at designing and developing almost anything. The manufacturing may not be there, but if it's that getting to the point where you got something that's ready to be manufactured, I think that's where the incubation center mode is what works best.
So I'll actually, Nancy Laurie from the BIOEPJ group and the Innovation Center, she actually posted, if folks are looking for assistance with product development, that's what the Innovation Center can help with. So I'm not sure, Nancy, Cecilia, or Jackie, any of you can kind of pitch on some of the activities that the MCA helps with.
Yeah, hi, this is Nancy. The Innovation Center has an acceleration program where we can work with you to go through your ideation phase all the way to product development. So if you're looking for support, we offer that. We offer tailored office hours to your current state of business and need, and we have access to space should you need space for prototype development, and access to funding. We are in the process of creating a seed fund that should, by this time next year, be able to provide seed funding for early stage, very early stage ventures.
Perfect.
Yeah. And Mylena, let me tell you, let me talk about from behalf as RexMed, we are open to develop new products or innovate, to open the doors to the people that think have an idea or wants to develop a medical device. It's because as Seisa, the headquarters and the main office is here, and we have experience in clean rooms, different class 7, class 8, and we are already have experience to register in FDA products. We are FDA registered. We are a COFEPRIS registered. I think that if there are people in the area that are thinking to produce or already have the idea, a prototype for a medical device, by sure, because I know Seisa and RexMed, we are open to open the door and dedicate time, sit in the table or sit in a conference call and discuss if we can help or support this new innovation or this new product.
Yeah. And if I can kind of repeat what you said a different way, the first question, what's the expectation? When you find a contract manufacturer who you think might be the company you want to produce your product in production, ask them, if your product isn't completely ready for production, ask them, well, great, thank you for the tour. It's a very impressive company. Are you willing to help us with the final stages of design or development? Or are you willing to help us get to the point that we're ready for production? And you'll find, and I don't know how it is for you, Hector, but I would say 1 in 3 of our new production projects at Seisa began with us producing prototypes for that client. Whether it's a big name medical company or whether it's a standalone inventor.
Yeah.
And to some products we can't help because we don't have the specific expertise. If it involves a lot of electronics, that sort of thing.
Mylena, this is Gerardo. May I add something?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. Well, this has been discussed as part of the supply chain, along with the folks over at Innovation. I think that what we need to look at, and that's part of our goal here, is to look for alignment, and all the way from the idea and time to market or product total time to market. I think it's important that that we bring together these contract manufacturers. I mean, in reality, and you work for an OEM, Mylena, and you also mentioned that you have a department that evaluates innovations for development. I think that with the current plans that we've been discussing for a while now, that if the BIO acts as the hub where all the information converges to, we will be able to pretty much just rotate a button and say, okay, you've got an idea. Okay, well, what type of a product is it? Well, it's a stent delivery, new stent delivery method. Okay, well, you know what? Let's rotate the knob to the specialist contract manufacturers in town that do stent deliveries. Let's bring them on board and let's see who's interested in your product. whether it's only an idea or if it's a product that has had is run through prototyping and all the way to maybe even clinical testing. I think that the what we need to find is we need to find that within the cluster, I find us a little bit too compartmentalized, and I think we need to open doors in between those compartments so that we can easily go through those doors and access those resources that we might have access to. And yes, I do believe that the BIOEPJ needs to act as the hub so that these inputs can be converted into outputs and help them find a resource for their ideas.
Perfect. Thank you, Jose. Gerardo, I'm going to actually put you on the spot. You also recommended a book for folks, Blue Ocean Strategy, that I'm familiar with the book and how you create like marketing demand. I don't know if you want to expand and maybe touch on why it would be, you know, something good for innovators, entrepreneurs to read.
Thank you. Yes, there was an explanation, I think it was by Mr. Duman, where he compared different products coming into either a saturated or an unsaturated market. The Blue Ocean Strategy book pretty much delineates how to identify opportunity within a market space and develop a solution that has no compromises pretty much to competition. Cirque du Soleil is a good example. People wanted to go out and have dinner, but also be entertained. So they took the circus acts idea. Now the circus going in decline because we are much more aware of the treatment of animals, but there is a component of excitement in the other shows that they have. So they made a combination of going out to dinner and having these gymnasts doing all these acrobatic maneuvers and charging you a pretty penny for it. And we know how fun they are and how popular they have become. COVID notwithstanding, of course. But that gives you an idea. An idea. Elon Musk has an excellent story of Blue Ocean Strategy. A lot of car companies knew that going electric was going to cost them billions and billions of dollars. The vehicles have a third of the components. Just about anybody can come up with an electric vehicle, and the margins were going to go down dramatically. Well, he did a one over everybody, came out with a vehicle that is 3 times more expensive than a gasoline vehicle, and he's got lines around the corner for people lining up to provide that vehicle. Now, he will have some competition here soon, but I think the stock price demonstrates how attractive that company is. That is probably one of the best examples of a Blue Ocean strategy.
Thanks for that explanation. Now I'll open it up to the audience for any additional questions or comments, any expanding any ideas that Les or Hector spoke about.
Well, one of the things that I missed to comment when you talk about what is the COVID impact to the industry, there are another positive impact. The impact is in FDA. FDA now is more open, is more flexible. If you see all the communication, the FDA is asking for the people to bring new products or substantial equivalent products because wants to open the market. Now I feel this new move that the FDA have since 6 months ago to say, guys, we are more flexible. We are, in fact, FDA reduced some charges for new products or to register products for the next 8 months. Now, this opportunity is not only for the opportunity that the companies bring us to bring home or bring back the production from China. It's also FDA is more flexible right now for the new entrepreneurs and new pros, new people, new players that wants to go to participate in this market.
Right, I agree. We're seeing a lot of priority also given to North American-based products as well from the FDA and NIOSH and other governing agencies that, you know, if you're looking to produce either in the US or in, you know, in Mexico and again, North American region, they're giving priority to those products over, you know, some of the Asian-based products. And that has helped significantly in timelines.
Yeah, and also there are some capital, so people that wants to invest in the region for this reason. That is a new opportunity too.
Right. Any other comments or questions? Jackie, I don't know if you want to give kind of the commercial for the next session that we have coming up.
I do. Thank you, Mylena, and thank you, Les and Hector, for all of the really great information you shared. And we know that this is just the tip of the iceberg when we're talking about product development and medical device manufacturing. And so that's why this is a 4-part series, and we hope that you all on the call today will join us for the other 3 sessions. So Jose alluded a little bit to the role of corporate manufacturers because we do have a large presence of corporate manufacturers here in El Paso and Juarez. And so the next session, which will be on October 20th, the same time, we'll have Mylena, not as a moderator, but as a panelist, sharing from the corporate perspective how companies like Cardinal Health play a role in product development and bringing new products to market. And so she'll be joined by Sigfrido Delgado from Jabil to give that perspective as well. And hopefully we'll touch on the distinctions between corporate manufacturers, corporate contract manufacturers, as well as the different classes of medical devices and how your approach to those companies might differ when it comes to those distinctions. And so this is just the beginning of the conversation, and we hope that you'll join us again and bring your questions for the next one. And the rest of the 4-part series will also touch on different aspects of the manufacturing life cycle. So thank you again, everybody, for joining us. We really appreciate it and appreciate all of the information you shared. So unless there's any other questions, we'll go ahead and stop it here.
Perfect. Thank you, Les. Thank you, Hector. Thanks everyone for the participation and the questions.
Everybody.
Thank you.